Well, at 67, Lou should be enjoying her golden years. Instead, the nurse works 6 days a week and she fears she's one paycheck away from being homeless. It's no way to live and a far too familiar story.
It's dehumanising. It's utterly despairing. It's terrifying. It's humiliating. I'm literally one pay away from disaster.
Lou is 67 years old. She's a nurse. She works long, hard hours. She's exhausted. Finally, unpacking her belongings into a modest one-bedroom apartment in Sydney, her couch is a blow-up.
So close to being homeless again because I'm one accident or one illness away from being out there again. And at my age, I find that really distressing.
It's home for now, but Lou has been homeless, relying on the generosity of friends. At one point, she slept in her car for weeks.
It's pretty gross. It's pretty horrifying, and most of the people that know me would be surprised to know that I did that, but I was so ashamed. It doesn't leave you though. I mean, you never feel safe, you never feel secure. I guess I expect something to go wrong all the time.
In the last few weeks, Lou secured a roof over her head, but to afford it, she'll be working 6 days a week at the hospital and spending most of her wage on rent, the human face of a widespread rental crisis.
It's hugely expensive and I really have no idea how I'm going to maintain that. And if there's a rent increase of any sort, I won't be able to.
Is it difficult to say I'm homeless, or is that something you don't want to say out loud?
No, I couldn't say it. I didn't want to say it. There's a shame attached to it, and I understand why people don't want to say they're homeless. It's scary, and there's nowhere for them to go.
Marie is in her 70s. She's also been homeless after a marriage breakdown left her in financial ruin. The trauma, stress and despair led her to an attempt to take her own life.
So it got to the point when you just didn't want to be here anymore?
It was about as dark as can be. You feel like you're not useful anymore and that you may as well just go.
Marie has a home now and she loves it, using her experience in the system to help homeless older women find what she has.
So we ended up in our car, and then from that we ended up in a caravan park that was infested with mosquitoes. It was awful.
Domestic violence left Rachel Jackson and her 3 young children out on the street.
Then after the AVO, his name was on the lease of the house and he'd stopped working. And so basically the real estate rang me and said, you've got to get out. And there was no warning. And so I literally had, a few days to pack up, get out of the house. I was locked out of my bank account. I was locked out of my phone. I was locked out of my house. I had nothing.
What is wrong with the system right now? Why are so many people in that situation?
I feel that often politicians are trying to tick boxes. They write policies, but the policies are never implemented. The system doesn't really help people get a leg up. So you have to watch how many hours you work. I know a friend of mine got a promotion. She couldn't take it because if she took the extra pay, she would lose her housing subsidy, she'd lose her home, she'd be on the street.
Rachel signed a lease for a year. Greeting cards to mark the occasion have pride of place in her home.
Do you ever feel safe though? Like this isn't going to be taken away from you?
All the time I panic, I have nightmares.
Lou, Marie and Rachel are part of the People's Commission, sharing stories from the front line of the housing crisis. They're also using people power to urge the government to address the supply of social housing and push for a shift in the tax system, which makes real estate so profitable. May Azizi from campaign group Everybody's Home.
The problem is that these people who think these things and believe these things and want these things just aren't as politically powerful as the small minority of people who are vested interests that are stopping them from happening.
Lou just hopes someone is listening.
It's really hard. Some days just to keep going. Really hard.
Wow, I mean, how are these hard-working, decent women even in this position? We thank them for telling their stories so honestly. It's brave. And a reminder that crisis support can be found at Lifeline on 13 11 14.